My name is Tracy Champagne, and welcome to the Connect Show. This is our brand new experience to help small businesses thrive. We are excited to bring you the show every week, Tuesdays at 10 a.m.
Sorry about that. To start, let's talk about what's great about your day. And if you have an opportunity to put what's great about your day in the chat, and we only have a few people here right now, so we'll remind everybody again. Because we always like to share your achievements and things that have gone well. Every week we're going to provide a new experience here on the Connect Show with Jon and Tracy. The best way to experience the show is live on Zoom, and that way you can participate in the giveaways, ask Tracy and I questions, ask our wonderful guests questions, and take part in the show. So Tracy, what do we have coming up for today? We got a lot of people on the calendar today.
Mm-hmm. We have two wonderful guests. We have Jennifer Hensley, owner of Playmaker Coaching and Consulting. I always want to say playmaking there. And Sarah Schwab, the content creation coach, a founding member of Downstream, and she is quite the dancer. And I've seen it, so it's true.
All right.
And of course, Kim will be giving the networking report. Please like and subscribe if you're listening to this on podcast, YouTube, or the Facebooks. And reach out to us at theideas@theconnectshow.com. We want to hear your questions so we can answer them.
We'd like to thank our sponsors for making this happen, and our number one sponsor is Serendipity Labs, and it's a co-working flexible office space where you're able to access professional workspaces with flexibility to meet your business needs, all supported by on-site hospitality teams. And with over 40 locations across the country, there's a Serendipity Lab near you. That was my radio voice. That was
very good.
Yeah, it's a little energy thing. I'm liking it.
Oh, be our guest. Be
our
guest.
There you go. We don't have the music today, no.
No music. So if you'd like to be our guest, we do have a page on our website that you can go to. It's called Be Our Guest, Connect Show /Be Our Guest. And there's a little form in there that you can fill out. And if you know of somebody that would like to be a guest, just send them to that page. That would be great. And if you're new to the Connect experience, each month we have a new business topic. This month we are talking about mastering social media. That's why we have our two fabulous guests today. And in November, we're going to be talking about business acceleration. And December, starting off the new year, and surprise, we're going to have a Christmas party, guys.
Well, the Christmas party is going to be cool. I think we have to decide on the sweater thing because we need to, with the supply chain shortages, if we want to get an ugly sweater, we're going to have to do it now, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think everybody might already have an ugly sweater.
I don't. I've missed that. I missed that boat. There's some trends that I didn't take part in, and the ugly sweater was one of them. If you are looking to share our content, there are replays of the Connect Show at theconnectshow.com. There's podcasts, video of the full show, and the segments. And feel free to share these links on social media to help us grow our community.
An important part of our growth is keeping connected to one another, so please put your contact information in the chat so we can help each other grow and thrive.
And let's connect. Seth Godin says the power of network is the square of the number of people in the network. And I actually, Xander, is that the only quote that we have? Do we have a different one? Oh, it should have been 3 QOD. So the quote of the day, which I didn't program correctly, is Confucius, and it says about silence. Do you have it?
Yep.
Okay. Is what one has to say better than the silence? If what one has to say is no better than the silence, then one should keep silent. And that's from Confucius, and I thought that was great because we're not going to keep silence because we have something better to say, but I think with our coaches today. They're going to help guide us on finding that better message. And I loved that quote for today.
Yeah, that is a really good quote. So what's great about your day, Jon?
Oh, it was blue, so we weren't sure.
We didn't know what to do with the blue.
Right, it was, yeah. We need Jennifer up here to read this for us. So I think she's blue today. Yeah. So what is great about my day?
Or in the last week since we did this show.
Well, in the last week, you know, thinking about it, I think having collard greens for lunch with you and the Small Biz Milwaukee people on Friday was pretty awesome. So when you invited me and said that there's barbecue, I was in, because I'm thinking barbecue, beans, mac and cheese, all the good things. Then I get there and oh my goodness.
It was exactly that.
They have collard greens.
And collard greens.
I know. I was pretty excited about that. I have a pretty low entertainment threshold.
And I learned some cool, interesting stuff about Jon and collard greens. You want to share your experience with collard greens?
Well,
because I didn't know about this until recently because of collard greens.
About my passion for collard greens or the restaurant business?
Both.
Both, okay. So I was in the restaurant business for a while, and we made barbecue and chili and wings and all the things that you're in competitions for. So you make a barbecue sauce, and then you join a competition, and you make wings. And so the idea of the restaurant was always to make things from scratch and make things fresh and see how you can be innovative. And with collard greens, I spent years, literally years, cooking collard greens and trying to put all the stuff in there and pork hocks and bones and all kinds of animal parts in there to make them taste better. And it never worked. Good story, right? You guys are like,
good story.
Oh, lunch.
Let's eat all the collard greens
right,
now.
this is an appetizing story. And what I found is that if you go to the store and you get Southern Pride collard greens in the orange can, and then cook some bacon and throw it in there, the best collard greens you'll ever have, and you can save yourself years of trying.
Yeah, because I've tried making collard greens, and you have to cook them all day, all day. There's a science behind them.
There is, and it's one of those things like if you can cook collard greens or eggs or French toast well, they're such a simple thing that it's mastering those simple things, I think, is more impressive than making something like on the cooking show with all the things dangling off of it and flying off of it and sparklers, and it's just weird. So some things that are going great about the day are scrolling up. Could you scroll up for us a little bit, Xander, on that chat box on the Zoom?
Here.
Oh, we got him right here. Look at this.
That's why I have this here.
Oh, this is great. You want to read one?
Let's see, what's going great about the day?
I think they were up farther.
Bill Sargent says today's great because he woke up not dead again. That is always good.
Yep. Got to set the bar.
And Lorry Rifkin says he seconds that.
Okay. All right. So we're just happy to be alive.
We're happy to be alive today.
And with that, I think we should do vitamins for the soul.
All right.
Sure did. Okay. So
Vitamins for the Soul is a new segment where we share good habits and tools to help you on your journey.
success is a result of consistent good habits each and every week. And so we want to share with you the tools and strategies that we use and that we learn along the way.
So you read the Donald Miller book this week, right?
I did, and I got a bunch of them here. But yeah, it's the Donald Miller Building a Story brand, and I thought this would be perfect because we're talking about content creation today. Donald Miller takes content creation and puts it into a new perspective and a framework. The framework that he uses is called the SB7 framework, Story Brand 7 steps. And it's identified as the most common components of a story, which is character, problem, guide, plan, calls to action, failure, and success. So he goes deep into them, but I just want to give you a brief overview. The best one that I like is the hero. He talks about the hero, the villain, and the guide. And the hero, one way that he told it in a speech was, the hero is Luke Skywalker, and that's your customer. The villain is the problem, and that's Darth Vader. And the guide is you, and that's Yoda. And so when you're writing content, you're saying, Luke, your problem is your father, and I'm going to help guide you through it. And you're going to say it in broken sentences. But you get the idea. If you were to write content like that, it gives you a different perspective. So in this book, he talks about a lot of different examples, and he gives a lot of different ways that you can create content from beginning to end. And the one that I want to share is when the one that he shares about a path that leads to a field. So imagine this. You're walking down a path, and there's this big, huge field in front of you, and the path goes around the field. And then you look at that field, and you're like, I don't know if I can traverse that field right now. But then some crazy person runs up to you and says, hey, I'm the best field crosser in the world. You should trust me. And for $9.95, I can help you cross this field.
And you've never met them before.
Right?
They just came out of nowhere.
You think that person's going to get you halfway across the field and then eat you. Because it's Halloween and that's what we do. But if you were to walk up to that same scenario and someone were to walk up and say, hey, I see that you're at a crossroads here. We don't know each other, but I do have a method of getting across this field. If you have a few minutes, I'd like to share it with you, and if you like it, we'll go across the field together, and if not, take the path. But either way, it would just be good to talk. Now, if you break down content creation and your sales approach into something as simple as that, it really put it in perspective. And so that's why I like Donald Miller. If I could do content creation in one book, if there's one book that I would say, this would be it, because I think this gives you such a good framework and blueprint for creating content.
Your field story reminds me of when you meet somebody on LinkedIn for the first time and they just, boom, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this for you, and you don't even know this person, and you're supposed to, like, I don't even know where you go with the conversation after that.
Yeah, I get the hard sell is coming, and lately I've been getting a lot of hard sells from people who are in the exact same business as I am, and they want to somehow collaborate or do something. I don't know what they want to do. And they're really like aggressive and pushing on it. And
all it makes you want to do is just want nothing to do with them.
Yep.
So their approach is totally backfiring.
It is. So you can purchase this book on Amazon, and Kim will put a link in the chat. And you also have an opportunity to win this book
today.
Yes.
So we're going to address our giveaway from last week. So last week we did where we asked everybody to take a screenshot of our event and tag us and put the Connect Show hashtag in there. And we have a winner for that, and that's Karen Williams. And I don't know if she's here today, but we will let her know about that. She was the person who won that. And today we're going to be giving away the Building a Story brand book. And today we're going to ask that if you go to the Connect Show /giveaway, connectshow.com/giveaway, there's a little, there's a giveaway entry form in there. So you put your email address in there, but you can share it on Facebook, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get all these extra points. And by 10:45 today, we are picking a winner. So if you don't do it now, you are out of luck. That's it. You got a half an hour. So that's our giveaway.
I like the scarcity thing that we're doing with that. That's good. I love it. We'll love it. We're in marketing. We know these things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We at least know the word scarcity. I don't know if I'm using it in the right way, but whatever.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we need to hear from Serendipity Labs, and then we're going to bring on our first guest.
Awesome. So excited. we have Jennifer Hensley with us today. She's the owner of Playmaker Coaching and Consulting. She created a winning system that has been proven to achieve top-tier results with 2 decades. See, I'm looking at the wrong one. With 2 decades of consulting experience working with a Fortune 500 company, Jennifer has helped over 1,500 small business owners achieve compound growth.
I think Xander wasn't liking the way 3 was looking, so he's just like, we're staying on 1.
Well,
Jennifer
I'm glad I noticed it. I'm getting better at this.
Right. Jennifer is on a mission to change the game for referral-based business owners to scale sustainability without the hassle or hustle. Jennifer's best teammates are her husband, Keith, and daughter, Samantha, who always push her to play with her own game and stay on offense. She believes it's important to live with intention. This year, her word is champion. And how can she be a champion for you? Jennifer, thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It is lots of fun. Welcome, Jennifer. Again.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's great to be here. Kudos to you guys to start with. I appreciate that you guys are putting these on for small business owners like myself, and I've got so much value out of them already. So excited to be here, and definitely kudos to everybody that's online and watching us as well, because they're taking time out of their day to invest in their growth. And research shows that those that invest in their growth come out 256% better than those that don't. So congratulations on just showing up and staying with it and getting better each day.
That's a great percentage.
That is.
Yeah.
So what is great about your week or your day?
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this as you guys were talking about it, and last night I got to play volleyball for the first time in about the last year and a half or 2. I was just starting to play again when the pandemic hit, so it's been quite a while. So it felt good to get back on the court and have fun, and it was respectable.
Did everything come back to you, like riding a bike, kind of?
Decently. I was pleased with it. There were some moments the timing was definitely off, but overall it was a lot of fun. That's a great question, great way to think about starting the day with what can we appreciate for certain.
What are the basics? What do you do, and who do you do it for?
Yeah, so I mean, you've read my bio, but just to tell people a little bit more and everything, I used to work for a large corporation, as we said. And, there were so many times that I was in meetings and felt like I had to follow the corporate protocol, and that, we were trying to help small business owners, but it felt like sometimes they didn't really understand the world of small business owners. And then I would go and talk with my clients, Bill or Susan, and they would be, frustrated and confused and felt like they were getting mixed messages on how do they really grow their business. And I just felt like there was a better way. I knew there had to be a better way to help them and to make marketing more manageable for them and help them get results faster, help them find not just the more clients, but really the right clients, and to create more of those raving fans for them in their business. So luckily for me, when our corporation went through a reorg, they gave me the greatest gift that I could have ever asked for, and something I may not have had the guts maybe necessarily to do on my own. And now I'm so glad I did, that I've gotten a chance to work with such great small business owners and work with them individually to make sure that they have the right solution really for them, and that marketing really fits in with their business goals in a way that makes sense for them. So now, rather than feeling like they have all of these options out there, they have somebody to really help guide them along the way. And instead of feeling like they don't know really what's working or not, we break it down in a way that really makes sense for them. And that's what I love doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when we talked about the pre-show, you had told us about a system you have, and I love systems. I really like systems. Your system was the Svc Approach. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so in the past 1,500 years, whoo, how old am I?
We've progressed in 1,500 years.
We have. I was just reading about data talking about books and how interesting numbers are and the way we interpret them. But the past 20 years, I've helped with over 1,500 advisors to create processes and systems to help them be more intentional with marketing. So the Svc approach is really, how can you be more strategic, be value-based, which you were talking about things with LinkedIn, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and be consistent with your marketing approach. And this is the part, that as we were talking about this ahead of time, we really felt like for the audience today would have the most value to them. And the reason that we really want to talk about this is because, social is no longer something that's optional. It's, really can help speak for your brand and drive more people to recommend you or engage with you, buy from you, and it's really a trust accelerator. So the first thing I want to talk about is strategy. And the reason we're talking about strategy is because if you don't have a strategy, how do you know how you're going to get to the destination, right? We're never going to get to that finish line.
Something's not working.
Exactly. So some questions I think that you can ask yourself is first, what is the biggest challenge that you're having in your business and how can marketing really address that? So we make sure it really connects to your business goals overall. What is the objective for how you're using marketing? So for instance, with social media, are you using it just to show thought leadership, that you're credible? Are you trying to look for buying signals? Or is it really about creating a community? And once you understand what your objective is, then you can think more about, okay, well, how do I want to show up on that platform? Certainly understanding your ideal client is important too, and how do you differentiate yourself so that you don't just sound like everybody else out there, but what's unique about you and the problems that you can solve for your client, and making sure that you're using that language of your clients. So one of the biggest things challenges I see is that we often try to serve everyone. Especially as new small business owners, usually we're like, who all can we get as clients? Let's just, if anybody will work with us, let's take them. But really, the sooner we can get more niche and talk more specifically to our target market and in words that they use. They're not saying, hey, I need your product. They're saying, here's the problem I'm having. So how can you talk more about their problems they're having, or what are they talking about with their spouse or their brother at home and saying, hey, I was laying up last night thinking about this, struggling with this. The better you will start to see results. So one of the biggest things that you can do to get started in this area is I recommend that you start with a marketing management meeting so that you can really start to have some time to think strategically about all things marketing and how it fits in with your business. I was working with my client Al recently, and when I first started working with his firm, they had a social media person, they had somebody doing their websites, blogs, advertisers, all these different pieces, but they really didn't have any cohesive approach to their marketing and how it fit in with the business. So once we worked on really their brand message and how are we trying to go to market as a firm, all of a sudden it became much more unified and they had one of their best years ever. And that's just the type of thing that I like helping other people do. But the biggest thing is just to make sure you take action, get started, whatever that looks like for you. So should we move on to the V?
Yes, the V.
Yeah, so the V is values-based, and this leads perfectly into what you were talking about with LinkedIn. If you don't focus on offering value first, people are going to connect with you. Maybe they'll accept your connection request, but they're not going to engage with you. So we have often the best of intentions, but most of us are guilty at some point or another. We probably lead with, hey, can you do this for me? Or offer immediately trying to set up a call or something versus how can we lead with value? How can we provide something that other people would, appreciate, or just show up on their social media and start there and comment and engage in an authentic way for others before we start asking for something for ourselves? What do they care about? What's most important to them? And, here's a ninja tip for most people I say is to research a handful of your best clients and see what they're posting. Look at the different themes that they're posting and then think about what might resonate that you should post. So for instance, when I did this, I looked at a lot of my clients and I noticed a lot of them were posting about their involvement in the community and giving back and philanthropic efforts that were important to them and something that's really important to me as well. But I hadn't been sharing. So it was an eye-opener to me to say, I should talk about that more because it's important to me as well, and obviously it's important to my community. So think about that in terms of what content you can post out there. When I was working with Daniel a while back, he was somebody who wasn't really on social, and I think that's fine. You have to make sure it feels authentic to you. Right. But when we talked about this space of how you can really start with value to others first, all of a sudden it really resonated to him because it wasn't about, what could he push out there, but it was how could he show up and just engage in other people's content. And in our first quarter working together, he was meeting more of his ideal clients than ever by just doing that simple step. So everyone else will be telling you, it's about what you should post, but I say it really starts with how can you show up for others? And that's really all I have to say about value. Should we talk about the last part?
Absolutely.
The C, wonderful. So the last part is how can you be consistent? without consistency, you can never get any traction and really know what works. And that's probably the most challenging area I find for small business owners. You're often doing it alone and wearing so many hats, and I have more appreciation than that than ever myself now. But less is more. And you were talking about that too, Jon, about, how can you just make it simple things, something small, get started with that. Maybe it's just 2 posts a week. You're saying, I'm going to post on Tuesday and Thursday, and that's fantastic. That's wonderful. If you can do that and do that consistently, awesome. Embrace that progress over perfection of just getting started, doing something that's manageable, and commit to that and build on it over time. I started doing Facebook Lives about a year and a half ago, and I'm sure they were not good by any means. You guys have probably experienced that with doing the show too. Yeah, but you just do it and you show up. And have I learned a lot? Yes. And also, as you've probably seen too, is people appreciate the fact that you're on the journey with them and you're being authentic. And they like the fact that sometimes it's not perfect and you're showing who you are, and they can connect with that and realize, hey, okay, I'm not perfect either. So you just find something and show up and keep doing it. One of the greatest things you can do, though, too, is to create a content calendar in a library. So you never have to ask yourself, what do I post? What am I going to come up with to post today? And I think we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas on what that might mean when you're looking at creating a content library. And if we had more time, we'd talk about all the other ways to create more engagement, too, with the times that you post and all those pieces. But, the key is to keep it simple to start with. So everyone's going to tell you that the measure of success is, your number of followers or the people that are liking or commenting on your comment. But I'm telling you, using the SVC approach is what's going to lead to that compound growth. And the best place to start here is to schedule time for Sam. I like to call it Sam, get to know Sam, date Sam, marry Sam. So sales and marketing. It might just be, 15 minutes a week that you're scheduling that time to post just maybe what you're hearing from clients, and just start there. So that's all I have to say about consistency. I think we want to talk a little bit further.
I spend a lot of time with Sam.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't even know it.
Does your husband know it?
Right?
I think, yes.
No, we all need to get to know Sam a little bit more.
How often, you talked a little bit about the schedule, so, how often is that? Are we doing that every day, or, should somebody use an automation tool?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the platforms are always changing, and you're going to get the most engagement if you post directly on the platforms versus using some of the automation tools and scheduling tools. In my opinion, there's always trade-offs. If you want the greatest engagement and you have the most time, do it directly on the platforms. If you are just getting started and you just need to try to make it as simple as possible, scheduling it and getting started that way might make sense for you. That you may not get as much engagement, but you're getting it done. You're showing up. You're building your content library and stuff so that people are going out there and seeing that you're there consistently and what you're all about. Typically, a lot of my clients, I think it depends on what industry you're in. For most of my clients, if they're doing 2 or 3 days a week, to start with, that's great. That's fantastic. And we'll talk about some ideas of what that might look like. As you keep building and doing more, maybe you get up to that 5 days a week. But you also don't want to be inundating people in certain markets so much that they're like, okay, now you're turning me off. That every time I turn on, I just get another post about you that's promotional. So making sure that mix too of what you're sharing isn't all promotional content, that it is those things of how am I giving back in the community, who am I as an individual, those other types of content that you're putting out there as well.
I think mixing it up too might be good too. Like
If you do schedule some of them, schedule 2 or 3 of them, but then throw in something totally random to help with your engagement.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example of like how do you incorporate the real-time posts into that content as well.
So you have a digital checkup, and I think that would be one thing, because you have a lot of ideas on post types and the scheduling, and it would be great if you could spend more time with everybody, maybe on a one-to-one or basis. Tell us what the digital checkup looks like.
Yeah, so the digital checkup, it's a personalized digital checkup. And it really allows you to have recommendations to improve your social media, your website, and your search presence. And what it does is it gives you easy ideas that you can implement to enhance your online image and attract more people to your brand and have a more consistent message across all your platforms. And what it means is for you is that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to guess what you should do. And whether you're just getting started with your online marketing, you're looking for a few new ideas on what you can do to improve in this space, or you just want confirmation that what you're doing is the right thing, the personalized digital checkup is for you. So they can get it on my website at playmakercoach.com/checkup, and I'm sure you guys will probably be sharing that out as well, and request that complimentary checkup. And I think it really allows you to, picture that day when your social media is well connected to your business plan. Picture that day when someone says, I love what you're posting. I think we should get together and have a meeting. And picture a day when social media is actually fun and easy. I think you're going to feel so good when you're able to accomplish that.
That is a great...
Because social media can be pretty intimidating and daunting.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I do want to make sure that I give you some sort of specific pieces on what to post, since we were hitting on that. So you mentioned, about that mix and stuff, and maybe some you schedule and some you don't. So thinking about a few areas that you can do that are real-time moments that I like to supplement for those scheduling ones are around, holidays and special occasions. That you can look at the calendar and just say, what's going on? Is it somebody's birthday? Is it Hispanic Heritage Month? What's going on with your team? Maybe it's somebody's anniversary on your team, or you're hiring. You can post about that. The community, we talked about that, of giving back to the community, or things in your community that are important that you want to recognize or share for other people. Learnings. Are you doing a speaking engagement? Are you reading a book? You were just talking about that. People always are interested in how are you learning and growing and giving that information back to others. And then what are you hearing? And this is the one I think is really easy to do, is just, what are you talking about with clients? Talk about that, just think about the last week and what were you hearing from them. And then the other areas are thinking about your brand message, like we talked about, of your value proposition, those pain points, frequently asked questions or objections you might get. How can you have a plan to consistently be addressing those, so that before people have to ask you those questions, you're already putting that out there. They already know what you stand for and what they should expect. And then certainly days of the week is a really easy place to get starting with. Maybe it's a Monday memories or a Transformation Tuesdays, Win It Wednesday. I mean, you don't want one for every single day of the week. I think that gets
Throwback
to be too much.
Thursday.
You're right.
But there's a lot of different fun ways that you can use that, and that could be a really easy place. Like we were said, if you pick 2 or 3 places to get started, that can be a great place for you to do it. So I want to, I know we're probably wrapping up this segment, and you've got some other great guests ahead as well. So the one thing I want to leave our guests with today is, there was a time recently I was working on my own website for something that I needed to incorporate in, and I was like, I can log into WordPress and make this change. This is simple enough. I log in, I make the change, I go to preview it looks good, but then when I go to submit it and look at the live site, it did not look like it did in preview. Has anybody been there? It's like, this is not what I expected. So I'm like, okay, I can fix this though. I go back in, I try to undo it and just revert, and instead, now I feel like I've lost my entire page. I was starting to freak out a little bit, ready to throw the computer, just at my wit's end, and I paused. And then I said, why don't I just shoot a text to Joe? And I sent him a message, and what do you know? 5 minutes. He fixed it. He did it all. So what did I learn? I mean, there's always those moments when we can all use an expert or somebody else that can either do it faster or does it day in and day out. Now's the time to get that expert. You don't have to do it alone. Now is the time to get started.
That's awesome.
Such great insight. And we wanted to send you off with, we give all of our guests a copy of the book.
Well, thank you.
So that
I've heard about this one, but I have not read it myself, so I'm really excited.
I haven't read it either, so but I'm intrigued now.
And you piqued my interest because all the great overview, the Cliff Note version already, that I'm like, okay, I got to go in there and read this some more.
Yeah, it's a good, I don't know if he does the Star Wars story in there. I've listened to Donald Miller a few times, and I'm a big fan of his. But thank you so much. This was really great insight, and you gave us a good framework to, be more effective in our content strategy, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, it was great to be here with you guys today.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Wonderful.
your system. It's a great great. Sounds great system.
Yeah, so remember that SVC, just make it simple, start, and, work on it over time.
The SVC system. And with that, we are going to talk about a networking report. And we have a very special networking report today when Kim is going to be taking over the stage and inviting our special guest.
Lorry Rifkin, are you here with me?
I am here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I woke up today like Bill.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely wonderful to have you. Let's just get right into it. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Lunch with Lorry and why you are such a networking guru in the area?
Because I don't follow the rules. I created my own.
Oh.
So Lunch with Lorry is about upside down networking. Throw away your business card, throw away your elevator speech, throw away what you do, throw away what you want, and just give your authentic self to your network and watch what happens.
I absolutely love that. So what do you do with Lunch with Lorry?
I learn people's life stories and they learn other people's life stories. It's a life story sharing event.
That's awesome. And you keep it small and limited intentionally. You only allow certain people in your Lunch with Lorry groups at each event, correct?
Because here's the thing of Lunch with Lorry, it's about forced participation. That's what makes networking really work, when you force people to actually participate. So everyone has to connect with everyone else. Everyone has to answer 10 personal questions. Everyone has to share one of the answers of my choice. So it's limited from 15 to 25 people, because to share those stories takes time. Because usually when you share a story, in fact, last week was very interesting, because the most embarrassing question, 3 people on the last Lunch with Lorry had the same answer. A bird had crapped on them. You think that's unique when it happens to you? That opened up so many stories and people got to learn about other people. And you would think that a bird crapping on you has nothing to do with business. It's 100% business.
I absolutely believe in all of that, because to me, the networking is more about the relationship than the job that you're doing itself. So I absolutely love that. So you have a big in-person event coming up, right? You
I
want to
do.
tell everyone about it?
Yeah, Lunch with Lorry started where I was going to have a live event. And COVID, I had 35 people sign up. 35 people had to be given cancellation notices. Couldn't do it because of COVID. So Zoom Lunch with Lorry's it's pretty amazing. I have over 400 unique individuals from around the world. But now we're going to do a live Taco Tuesday Lunch with Lorry event at Chef Pam's Cooking School, October 26th at 5 o'clock. I put the link to register inside the chat. It'll be different because I am going to have everyone connect with each other before the event. And I'm going to give everyone a little homework at the event to make it a little different.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait. I totally plan to attend. And tacos, how can you go wrong?
And Chef Pam is an award-winning cooking school. And that's how networking works. I watched Brian Dennis, who's Chef Pam's husband, speak at a Waukesha County Business Alliance event, went up to him afterward, asking questions, introduced me to his wife, who winds up, she likes cooking, I like cooking. I go to her cooking school and we say we're going to do a joint event. That's the power of real networking.
I love it. I love it. And you never know who you're going to meet at a Lunch with Lorry. So I'm really excited. What is your best networking tip? Hey, where'd you go?
Oh, because my phone rang. The best networking tip is go out there and give to others. Don't ask for a thing.
I love that. I'm putting that in the chat right now. Go out there and give to others. Don't ask for a thing.
And then call me 24 months after you start that and tell me what it delivers you, because it will take 24 months.
That's absolutely fabulous. Do you have anything else that you'd like to give as part of this networking report? I just appreciate you joining us today so much.
Yeah, I do. I want to talk about content for a second, because very interesting. As a business person who works with a lot of big organizations and banks, I share personal story content. So my last 2 posts had an unbelievable amount of people look at it. One was about golfing with a person who had dementia, what that was like. I just got assigned to them at a golf course. And the other one was on the Brady Street pet parade. You would think those have nothing to do with business, but they all do. So share real stories from your everyday experiences is something that is exceedingly powerful in doing content. That content is never directly around my business, but I always get business inquiries because those broad posts reach thousands and thousands of people. And then I'll get a call, hey, Lori, I have this opportunity. So you have to learn sometimes to sell by unselling, to share your life stories so people know that you're in situations, you're out there, you're authentic, you see things, and then you'll wind up getting sales because they know about you. People know I could fix your books. People don't know that I could also have fun, relax, help people. They got to hear a 360 review of you, not just what you do for a living.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Way to end the networking report. This has been my favorite networking report so far. We got a live body and I really appreciate you, Lori. And I plan to see you in a few weeks at your taco event. So.
Yes, everyone should sign up because it's good to have a live event. And we'll have some fun there. It'll be a little bit different. And you will leave with connections because I'm going to force that on the front end. That's what will make it different.
If you guys plan to attend the lunch with Lori with us, put that in the chat. I will put Lori's link in the chat as well as soon as we're done with it. And I'm going to put it back to Jon and Tracy. I'm going to figure out how to unpin everyone. Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate it.
Are we back?
We are back. Sarah Schwab is a founder and president of the Content Creation Coach and the author of the Amazon #1 best-selling book, Content That Dances. Content That Dances. Wow. I didn't do my face yoga today. She is known for her expertise in helping small businesses and entrepreneurs create a strategy and develop consistent, compelling content that builds connections and engagement, leading to growth.
Sarah works with clients one-on-one to develop website content, implement consistent email marketing, and build lead generation tools. Tools. I love tools.
You didn't do your face yoga either. No. Well, I'll have to do that before the show.
She has created hundreds of blog articles, produced videos, teleseminars, webinars, ebooks, and more, aside from entrepreneurship and content creation. Welcome.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. And in the beginning of the show, we asked about a moment of greatness and something that's good that's happened in this last week or the last month. Can you share something with us?
I thought it was today. What's great about today?
Well, today is just getting started.
Well, I know, but so this is the Connect show.
Yes.
And I have some super exciting connections happening today. And so first of all, being here with you and all of you, this is awesome. Right after this, I actually have a connection with someone from Switzerland. And one piece of my history that people may or may not know is I spent a year in Switzerland. And so starting to grow some global connections for my business, which is super exciting. And then after that, I have a lunch with someone who I'm bringing in, because one of the sort of volunteer roles that I have is being the chair of the marketing committee for the Bel Canto Chorus here in Milwaukee. And so that is a prospective member of the marketing committee to, continue to give back to our community. So I'm excited about that one too.
Oh, she's got a big day.
It's a great day, right?
Yeah. So why did you choose content creation and what is your why? Like, why are you all about content creation?
So content to me is the intersection between creativity and entrepreneurship, both of which are two things I'm really, really passionate about. And so, in my work, I get to have people get creative, right? Have those creative conversations and processes and get them over some of the hurdles. Because quite honestly, when you start creating things and putting them out there, putting yourself out there, putting your message out there, it's a little scary. Like sometimes we don't talk about that creative process that's underneath all of these great strategies and everything we're supposed to be doing. And that is one of my favorite pieces of the work that I do.
That's awesome. I can totally relate to the scary part of creation because I've been there many, many times.
That's right.
But you just keep going forward, just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where growth happens, right? Is when you overcome those uncomfortable things.
Yep. So your dance, how do you combine your dance and your content creation?
Well, I don't know that I would say I would combine them. Obviously, you mentioned my book. It's called Content That Dances. And I think one of these days you should give my book away. I didn't even think about that.
There we go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm in for that. So dance for me is really a hobby and something I love. It's my favorite form of sort of creative self-expression. But the reason I bring it into my content and tell some of those stories, or give the book the title that I did, is because that's part of who I am. It's part of my personal brand, if you will. And everybody has to figure out what that is for them. So obviously not everyone's going to talk about dance, but what is it for you that you're bringing in that's something personal to you, that makes you different in your work, in your communications, in your messaging, in your branding, that makes you unique to you.
That's awesome.
And for me, it's dance, or that's a piece of it.
So for our audience, we're talking a lot about content creation and creating social media posts. Are there 3 types of social media posts that you could share with us, and how they connect to your content strategy?
100%. So, both Lori and Jennifer talked about this, the importance of giving value, and how do we do that, right? We're not just constantly promoting or selling or whatever. So to me, one of the best ways to give value is through content. And so I feel like we've talked about this before. The word content has been sort of taken by the social media world. So people think that all social media posts count as content. But in the world of content marketing, what I do, it's bigger than that. So, you heard in my intro, things like blog articles and videos and podcast episodes and, pieces that you are giving away where you can tell those stories and share the value inside of that content. So I have a water park strategy. I'm actually not going to talk through the whole water park strategy today. I tell it all the time. It's on my website at contentcreationcoach.com if you want to see my water park strategy video. But in it, it describes the 2 primary types of content that I work on, and how they play together in the strategy. So number 1 is nurturing content, which is that consistent content that you're creating, right? Like blog articles, could be video, blog kind of things. Podcasts are becoming more and more popular. It's that consistent thing that you're putting out for that heartbeat, that visibility, that awareness that you're growing in the online space. This type of social media post that goes along with nurturing content, I call traffic driving posts. So number 1, we have traffic driving posts. When you are creating content, like let's just take blog articles, for example, all of a sudden you have something that you can create a number of social media posts from super easily, and that is going to drive traffic back to your site. One of the things I want to just mention, because everybody knows Facebook went down yesterday, Facebook
like
and
6
Instagram.
hours.
Like, you don't always have control over the social media world. And so I'm always a proponent of bringing people back to your own platform to grow your own list and your own audience. So traffic driving posts do exactly that. You can share snippets of the nurturing content, but the goal is to drive them back to your site, to your platform. All right, so traffic driving posts. The second type of content I work on is what I call catalyst content, and those are things like lead magnets, online events, things that people actually have to opt in for. This is how you generate leads online. And so when you post about your catalyst content, I call that promotional posts. Now, promotional posts can be to actually sell things or, ask for conversations and things like that as well. In the online world, it's easier to capture a lead when you have something free to offer them, because quite honestly, getting on someone's calendar or making a sale that costs them money, it's really, really difficult to do if they're not further down your funnel, if you will, or further engaged in your water park. Mm-hmm. Right? So what can you offer for free that's going to capture your leads? And those posts I call promotional posts. And then lastly, a lot of what the social media marketing world spends time thinking about are posts that I just call engagement posts. It is important to have certain posts that just keep people on the social platform itself commenting and liking and engaging and building those connections that way. So that's how I look at it. So engagement posts, which is a lot of what's happening out there, but then are you driving traffic with your traffic driving posts to your nurturing content and your promotional posts to your catalyst content?
So traffic, catalyst, engagement.
All
Bingo.
part of the water park.
All part of the water park. And if you would like to learn more about Sarah's water park theory and the water park strategy. In the post on the bar below, it will say theconnectshow.com/Sarah Schwab as we are going through this conversation.
Awesome.
Are you looking at me like I'm supposed to say something right now?
I was thinking, I don't know.
This is your
That was my subtle.
this is your grassroots social media approach.
So I actually have a super exciting project I'm working on right now that blends even more of my experience and expertise.
I'm trying to figure out how she can go bigger with the water park. It's kind of big.
Right?
So I don't know if people know this about me, but before I started my business in content marketing, I came from the nonprofit sector. So I did a lot of work with nonprofits. As I mentioned, I'm on the board and I'm chair of a marketing committee for a nonprofit organization. And recently what happened is the board was trying to figure out how to raise more money and how can we raise $5,000. And they're talking about kind of all the same fundraising options and tools and strategies. And we do a lot of them. It seemed like duplicate, same old, same old. So I raised my hand and I said, well, what about a social media fundraising campaign? And they all said, oh, that sounds great. Why don't you do that? And I was like, okay,
That's what
perfect.
happens when you come up with the idea.
Right. So then I had to figure out how to raise $5,000 on social media. And I came up with this grassroots marketing plan and campaign. I think there's elements of it that transition to the business world. But as I said, I'm working on a project that packages this strategy together for the nonprofit world called the Social Media Fundraiser. So I'm super excited about that. And the crux of it is this. Organic posting, particularly on business and organizational pages, there are limits to the reach that you're going to get with that, right? Unless you start paying for advertising or getting really strategic about the engagement piece. That's what we're talking about. The more people you can get to share your stuff, that's when your visibility really starts taking off. So in this case, we had individual people creating these online fundraisers for this organization all in the course of a week and building them up, providing them with the materials that they need to help share it. We put little profile frames on there. We built so much buzz. Guys, we raised our $5,000 in like 4 days, and by the end of the week we had raised over $7,500.
Wow,
so I was super
congrats.
excited.
That's
And it's
cool.
all because you leverage your people who love you and your organization or your business, right? And their friends care about what they're posting because they care about their friends and their
Right.
friends care about this thing.
That is true. It's almost kind of like the direct sale thing.
A little bit, but
You know-
for yes,
You
exactly.
know, like people always go to the events because it's their friends hosting it, but they want to hang out with their friends, so they're very supportive.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this
Oh, it's
week.
my pleasure.
This has been, I really loved talking to you and learning about your strategy because there's almost like a story behind the strategy.
Always.
And I love it. And speaking of story, great segue, we got you a book, Building a Story Brand with Donald Miller.
I love Donald Miller's work. So one more quick story.
Yes.
I feel like I have so many background stories, but really long time ago in college, actually, I worked for the Joseph Campbell Foundation. So Joseph Campbell is the one who came up with the hero's journey, which Donald Miller builds a lot of his concepts off of the hero's journey and that whole story arc and everything. So I'm intimately familiar with all of this.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much for being on the show again today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. And with that,
We have networking coming up.
yes,
We added networking to the event, guys.
yes. So every day after the show, we're going to do that at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is coming up soon.
What's that looking like?
We're going to network till 11:30. Today, our topic is going to be content creation, which we've been talking about all day. So everyone will have a chance to share that what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And we can get a little feedback on the show from you guys and see how everybody's day's doing.
I'm looking forward to that. But we need a giveaway update. So for one, I think Kim is going to feed us the winner, and Xander, cue the cats.
Cue the cats.
been fed into your slide.
Oh.
If
Can you message it?
I can do that, yeah.
Check out the cats.
Yep, that's our new splasher for the Vitamins for the Soul giveaway.
Is that music?
Yeah, there's music.
Can they hear us?
I think so. Yeah, first day with the cats. We're kind of excited. I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person.
There's our winner.
But we have a winner, and the winner is...
Sarah Deacon.
Cue the cats again. The cats are so good.
Yes, do the cats again.
Oh, we just love
Yay!
the cats. There we go. Yep.
That's cute.
Okay. So we will go into our little conversation about our sponsor. We love our sponsor, which is Serendipity Lab. They have a great space here to work out of, and we're just so...
We love the water and the coffee.
Yep.
Your coffee's gone.
I know, I'm pumped today. I'm like, all right.
And next week we're going to have Bridget Hum and Jennifer Elia. I always want to say Elia, but I know it's not Elia. It's Elia.
I know, when I see it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about mindset, and we're going to talk about strategy on social media. So like, subscribe, follow, and share. If you are on social media, if you are on camera 3, wherever you are, just the more that you can like, subscribe, give us good reviews on the podcast, that will help us reach a larger audience and connect to more people. So we really, really appreciate that.
And we want to thank Kim Knock out there doing our networking report, and Xander over there doing all of our video stuff, and Lori for coming on, and all of our cool guests today.